Okay, hey guys, welcome to the shop. This is the first video we're shooting in 2021, and the theme is on building a miter station for the shop. So I have some New Year's resolutions for 2021. 2020, for those of you who don't know, we started HUDS-ON Woodworking, became an official company, and we grew very fast. And what that led to is us having to be very lean, being a little creative with our current shop, and growing fast and on a budget. But what that brought on for me is a lot of anxiety, feeling like they're kind of falling in on me, because it's a very small shop, and to be honest, if things aren't organized, I feel I got a lot of anxiety. And so I want to remove that. I'm going to try my best to keep this place organized for 2021, and I have a few projects that I think are important to help achieve that goal. So we still have a lot of projects going on, so the idea of this is not to spend a lot of time on it, not to make it look absolutely perfect. It's a it's a piece for the shop, and I just want it to be quick and dirty. That being said, lumber isn't so cheap these days. It's about $400 in lumber for this piece, so I want it to look all right, at the same time. So I'm going to show you some B-roll over top of the current miter situation. Basically, it was an old workbench that I had laying around in the garage that I just put there temporarily, and it's become a catch-all for sawdust, some stuff that didn't fit in the garage or the workshop, like garage stuff for the car, jack stands, and some fans that are there for another project that's coming up. So the goal of this project is to contain a bunch of our sustainers for our Festool tools, hold that garage stuff, and work as a miter station for our miter saw. That being said, one other design goal for this project was to make the center part for the miter saw adjustable, so not build that in, because I would like down the line to upgrade maybe to a Capex or another brand, because I can't trust my current miter saw very much. It was my father's, it's very old, it gets the job done, but like I said, I can't trust it. So eventually it'll be traded out, so that whole part of the system has to be interchangeable. So in this video, we're going to take you through the build process entirely, from the quick SketchUp to how I generate my cut list and how I process the lumber and putting it together. So it's kind of a whole how to build a quick project in the shop, show you that you can do them quickly and efficiently by using, thinking out your cuts and using tools to create your cut list. And yeah, moving through the build very quickly. So I hope you guys enjoy, and we'll see you later. Okay guys, here. So this is cutlistoptimizer.com. This is what I use for optimizing my cut list. So on the left, you can see you can put in the panels that you need to make your cuts for, and what you're cutting it out of. And you can easily calculate what is the most optimized way to make those cuts. So it takes a little while to process here. But once it's done processing, you can see here are the cuts in the sheets outlined below and the dimensions, and they're labeled like said before. So on the right, there's some information basically on like utilization and how much wood is wasted, and these are good stats if you're playing with sizes to try and understand how much lumber you're actually going to be using and what sizes might work better. Other than that, on the bottom right, there's like actual cut list order, and you can just kind of walk through the actual cut list in the order that you're supposed to make them. So you can see that's the first panel. We're coming through the second panel now. And then we can move on to the third panel. It's just a couple cuts. And the fourth panel, same as the third. So yeah, it's a great tool. It allows you to export these cuts as well, which you're gonna see here. From here, you can just go up to the top and actually just export your cuts. Click the three dots, export to PDF, and you get a PDF. So this is what I'll take into the shop with me from this PDF, and it'll keep me on track. Try not to print on paper. It's a little wasteful just for a project. So if I have my iPad, I'll bring this into the shop with me, and this has all my cut lists on it. And yeah, so great tool. You guys should check it out if you are looking for something like this. Okay, hey guys, so we're just about to start processing the sheet goods for this project, and my tabletop, I noticed, is a little rusty. So before I process a lot of lumber on a tool, I want to make sure it's in good condition. First, I want to make sure that it's sharp. I got a new Dymar blade recently, so that's not an issue. And I also want to make sure it's greased if it has greasing couplings, and if not, I want to make sure that the tabletop is smooth. So especially on cast iron tabletops, that's very, very important, especially when you're pushing big amounts of sheet goods over it, because there's a lot of surface area to create friction. So that being said, it's a simple process. I had a bit of rust on here. What I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of mineral spirits to the tabletop and using 2000 grit sandpaper. And I am just working over the trouble spots and then getting the rest, because as you'll see later, I put wax on this after. And I've already done most of the work here, but just kind of showing you the process. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to wipe that down clean with the rag. Let it evaporate dry. You'll already see it looks much better. And after this, grab another rag just to make sure we get rid of all the solvent. Just give a good polish. After this, I'm going to put some finishing wax, which I don't have a screwdriver to open. Not sure if you're aware, but if you don't have some kind of finishing or polishing wax in your shop, you're missing out big time. You can use this on everything from hand tools to machinery tools, and I always just keep a rag in it. And it's just a wax. It makes things go really smoother. So basically, I'm going to rub this on. You know, Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. And I'm going to let this dry for about 10 minutes. And I will come down and wipe it off. And future me is going to thank present me later, because this tabletop is going to It's going to ride very smoothly, especially as I'm pushing, like I said, big sheet goods over it. So, good quick tip before we get started, make sure your tools are ready for the job. Okay, so as you've seen, most of this stuff has been cut up. Actually, all of our cuts have been made, our rough cuts or our dimensional cuts. What's left is jointery. So as you may have picked up or not picked up, I did have the Cutlass Optimizer, and it gives you, cut order, but I unfortunately don't like the way it gives the cut order. I like to pick a measurement and make all the cuts at that measurement possible. That way I can ensure it's uniform across the entire build. Measurements become relative at that point rather than precise. For me, this is an older table saw and still is an older table saw fence, so my cuts aren't always perfectly on, but it doesn't matter as long as I use relative measurements and I'm using a system like I did. So I did all my cuts at 25.5 inches, I did all my cuts at 29 inches. And yeah, I worked that way. So as you may have also seen, I may have broken my back while trying to get these pieces, big 5x5 sheets cut up. I got a small shop and space is tight in here, and that reflects back to that anxiety thing I was telling you. I always feel like things are running in and bumping into you, and that's a dangerous feeling to have in a shop. So it brings back to the theme of this build. Hopefully, I can reduce that type of stuff with organization. And I rarely cut 5x5 sheets. It's mostly 4x8, which gives me the clearance with the bandsaw here. Which for another reason, which we're not going to get into, is not on a dolly because it broke its last dolly. But that's another story. So basically, we have our cuts. These are the top bracing, our sides, 4 sides, our tops and bottoms. There's double tops. I want 1.5 inch thick top, so that's them. And these are our kick rails, and then one side is going to have a shelf, and that's down here. I'm guessing that's out of shot. So the next thing to do is jointery. I don't like using pocket screws. I know it's fast and convenient, but I don't think it's that much faster or convenient realistically. So in this build, we're going to be using rabbeted joints. So we'll be gluing them and then brad nailing them in, and that'll allow us to build fast. And yeah, so stay tuned for that. It's pretty simple at this point on. It's just some light assembly. And yeah, the backs, I actually didn't cut those yet. You may have not seen those. Those are going to slide into dado grooves on the back. So maybe I'll put that later in the shot, but blabbering on. At this point, we'll get back to it. Oh. Okay, so we had our first accident here on the project, not on the machinery or anything, and it actually turns out to not be a big deal. Basically, when I cut the groove to receive the back channel, I cut it as it is right here. Not sure if that's in frame. Cut it like this because in my mind it makes sense that cabinets are wider than they are deep, and I think that's probably in most people's minds. But when I sketched it out, I did draw this project out. Usually I would 3D model it, but this was a quick, easy shop project, so I just drew it out. I didn't really realize until now that I had the dimensions deeper than wide, and I don't think that makes sense really. So after kind of thinking on it, I'm gonna switch the length to the width and the width to the length. I don't think it's gonna complicate much. All that means I have to do is, well, first of all, it means I didn't make a mistake, which is great. I can keep going without having any boo-boos or band-aids. And I'll just have to cut the sides a little shorter. That's no big deal. It's not really going to even affect my workflow, which is great. So we can keep chugging along. I guess the only other thing, too, is it's going to affect the shelf that I cut for the one cabinet that was supposed to receive a dadoed shelf. Is going to be too small now. But it's just one small piece. And I think what I'm going to do is just scrap dadoing in that shelf entirely. I'm thinking down the line I'm going to put drawers in this cabinet anyways. once I move to a bigger shop and I have better storage solution for my stuff that should be in my garage, because my garage is actually my shop. That's basically what's going in the one side is jack stands and my lift for my truck and all that stuff. So I foresee down the line that it's going to change the drawers. So long story short, gonna make a change. I think it's gonna all work out. If you didn't understand what I just said now, you should understand by the time it's finished. I'll show you once the product is done. But accidents happen. I guess moral of the story, sometimes they're not actually accidents, and you can learn something from it. So don't freak out, stay calm, think things through logically, and keep moving forward. Well, it's a new day. We ended the day yesterday with a little accident, as you can see. Not sure what happened, but sometimes this happens when cutting panels, especially cross-cutting. It's a more dangerous procedure to do on the saw. Luckily, my saw isn't that powerful. It's just a 1 horsepower. I was able to stop the sheet from getting flung across the shop and probably hitting me in time to turn off the machine. I guess it's a humbling moment. Always be laser focused and aware while you're in the shop. Yeah, so we kind of just ended yesterday on that note. It was a little later in the day, and my mindset wasn't in it after that. So we're continuing on today. There's no more, basically the 2 back plates that I needed out of the 1/4 inch sheet consumed more than half of the sheet, just ultimately meaning there's not enough extra 1/4 inch sheet to replace that back panel. It's just a piece of work or shop furniture, so although I don't want that ugly scar on it, is it worth the pain of getting sheet goods right now when it's a little more difficult in lockdown, and spending the extra money? I don't think so. So I'm not fully sure what I'm gonna end up doing with it. I think I might just slide it in now. Maybe I can replace it later, or I'll fill it with epoxy or something. But I'm sure you guys will see what I end up deciding. We're moving forward from here, and yeah, hopefully no more accidents.
I will make you a sunset view. I will make it so you're gonna want to. Get your hands involved with me. I'm the never wanna meet them too. I will make you a sunset view. I will make it so you're gonna want to. Get your hands involved with me. I'm the never wanna meet them too.
I just bought the sizzle bean. I said I just bought the sizzle bean. Mama, why I leave my memory? Probably the same place I left my ID. Hey, white breeze, gave a young nigga wings. I sneeze, gave a young nigga steez. 5 G's, fall like leaves in the spring. I'm running like cleats with each other.
Okay, so the airline is toast on my airline, I guess. Basically, air is leaking out of it, so that leaves my brad nailer out of commission for now. And these kick rails aren't that visible, so I'm just going to put screws in them.
Say
So this is a little awkward here. Okay, so cabinets are glued up, and same with the kick plates here right behind me. And yeah, so it's time to think about finish. Usually for shop furniture, I don't care too much. I won't always finish, but I would like this to last a while. It's made of some good plywood, so I'm going to put a finish on. So for finish, I'm using Grand Finishing Systems. They're actually a brand new finishing company. This is like a prototype product. They gave a sample to me to try out and give feedback back. They're based out of Guelph, Ontario, and this is their hard wax clear finish. So they have a bunch of exciting product lines coming out. When they do come out, I will tag them in the description. But yeah, so I'm going to use their clear finish on this, and it's because it's going to be going through a lot of tough durability. It'll be a good opportunity for me to see how I feel about their finish. So other than that, after these did set up, I went over them with a hand sander and just did a 220 grit quick sand just to break the edges and to get a little roughness off the surface. And yeah, so it's ready for finish. So we're going to apply finish. Once the finish starts to cure, I'm going to go clean up the current miter station, take down the saw, get rid of all the extra stuff, clean up all the sawdust, and then hopefully after that we'll be able to put the kick plates on, or the kick rails on the cabinets, and get them in place. And hopefully this miter station finishes up pretty soon. So yeah, stay tuned. Okay, so it's assembled. It went quite smoothly in assembly. The only thing is with the floor in this shop being quite makeshift, as it was a rapid expansion project that was not really planned for and was done on a budget, is quite uneven. So there's a lot of shimming to get the kick plates even, but super happy with the end result. The tops are dead flat, dead even across the saw, and I love the working height. I've never done a bench this tall, but for a miter station, there's a lot of basically bringing in lumber and plopping it here, and this is the height I carry it at, and going lower or higher would be a strain on my back, and I'm trying to reduce that these days. So yeah, super happy with the end product. It may look a little unfinished to you, and that's because it is. We'll be doing a couple more updates on this eventually. The goal for this initial stage was to just kind of build the carcass, get some initial storage, get a safe miter station going, and start using it and see how the space gets used. Stages coming up down the line, I'm thinking there's going to be slides in here and some shelving and maybe even some cabinet drawers, which yeah, we'll see how I think it needs to be used later. But that, as long as some edge banding and a slide mechanism for this Makita saw, because it actually requires quite a bit of space in order to get its full sliding, because this is an old saw and it's got an old sliding mechanism that requires a lot of depth. So there's a few things we'd like to do to kind of upgrade this eventually, but for now this works great. So we're super excited. If you've made it along this far, thanks for watching. If you could subscribe below and hit the bell notification for getting notifications when we release new videos, that'd be much appreciated. Until the next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.